A desperate plea. In the depths of interstellar space, a massive alien fleet sliced through the void, their ships arranged in a perfect geometric formation. At the heart of the fleet was the command dreadnought, a behemoth of advanced technology and destructive power. On its bridge stood Supreme Commander Zaxxarin, his yellow eyes fixed on the holographic display of their target system. "Status report," Zaxxarin demanded, his voice resonating through the chamber. "All ships operating at optimal capacity," his first officer replied. "Two scout craft have reached the outer planets of the system. Preliminary scans show a primitive civilization, technologically inferior. They pose no threat." Zaxxarin allowed himself a small smile. Another easy conquest, another step in the grand expansion of the Corva Empire. Their quest for resources and living space would not be impeded by some backwater species just starting to reach for the stars. As if on cue, a communications officer spoke up. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the third planet. It appears to be a warning." Zaxxarin's brow furrowed. "Put it through." The holographic display shimmered and coalesced into the image of a human, an older male with a deeply lined face and piercing blue eyes. He wore a crisp uniform adorned with unfamiliar insignia. "Greetings," the human began, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. "I am Admiral Ezra Donovan of Earth Defense Command. We have detected your fleet's approach and analyzed your technology. We urge you to turn back now." Zaxxarin let out a sharp laugh. The audacity of this creature, to make demands of the Corva Empire. The human continued, undeterred. "We possess advanced weaponry reverse-engineered from an alien craft that crashed on our world decades ago. If you do not heed our warning and withdraw, we will be forced to defend ourselves. Conflict between our civilizations will only lead to mutual destruction. I implore you to choose peace." The transmission ended, and silence hung heavy on the bridge. Then, slowly, a chorus of laughter erupted from the Corvan officers. Zaxxarin himself chuckled, shaking his head. "Ignore their pathetic posturing," he commanded. "They seek to bluff us with tall tales of salvage technology. No primitive species could hope to challenge us. We will seize their planet and show them the consequences of such insolence." As the fleet resumed its inexorable advance, Supreme Commander Zaxxarin settled back into his chair, already picturing the fall of another world and the glory it would bring to his name. Little did he realize the truth behind the humans' warning, or the lengths to which they would go to protect their home. Underestimating the underdog. Earth Defense Command was in chaos. A chorus of warning klaxons blared as senior officers barked orders to their subordinates. On the main view screen, a visual feed from a defense satellite showed the Corvan fleet moving into a lower orbit, their ships bristling with weapons. Admiral Donovan stood at the center of the storm, his face grim. "Status of planetary defenses," he called out. "All ground-based installations are active and ready," a young officer replied. "Orbital platforms are moving to engage. And our ships. The Avalon, Celestia, and Daedalus are in position. Their captains await your orders." Donovan nodded. The trio of vessels were Earth's first and only ships outfitted with the reverse-engineered tech, the very ships the Corvans had dismissed as fantasy. They were about to get a rude awakening. On the bridge of the Avalon, Captain Nora Jensen watched her tactical display light up as the Corvans began their attack. Energy weapons of immense power slammed into Earth's orbital defenses, the platforms buckling and breaking under the onslaught. "Activate the Helix shield," she ordered. "Prepare the Zephyr missiles for counterattack." Her crew worked with focused efficiency, and within moments a shimmering field of energy enveloped the Avalon. The alien weaponry splashed harmlessly against the shield, unable to penetrate the advanced human technology. The Corvans paused their assault, momentarily thrown by the unexpected resistance. That hesitation was all Captain Jensen needed. "Fire Zephyrs 1 through 6, pattern Delta." From concealed ports along the Avalon's hull, missiles streaked out, their casings inscribed with luminous sigils. They wove a complex pattern through space, evading the enemy point defense, and slipped through the Corvin's own energy screens as if they didn't exist. 6 Corvin ships blossomed into brilliant fireballs as the Zephyrs found their marks. Similar scenes played out around the Celestia and the Daedalus, Earth's secret weapons proving their worth in blood and fire. The Corvin fleet reeled, a dozen ships destroyed in the opening salvo, their formation falling into disarray. On his dreadnought, Supreme Commander Zaxxarin slammed a fist onto his armrest, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Impossible," he snarled. "How can they possess such power? We would have detected any technology at this level." His sensor officer spoke up, fear threading his voice. "Commander, scans show no known power signatures from their weapons and defenses. This is something new." Zaxxarin ground his teeth, fury and humiliation coursing through him. He had led his fleet into a trap, underestimating the humans based on outdated intelligence. It was a mistake he would not make again. "All ships, fall back to the outer system," he commanded. "Regroup and prepare for a full-scale assault. We will crush these upstarts and grind their worlds to dust beneath our heel." As the Corvin fleet withdrew, licking its wounds, Admiral Donovan allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. They had bloodied the enemy's nose and bought themselves some time. But he knew this was only the beginning. The Corvins would return in force, and Earth would need every ounce of ingenuity and courage to survive the coming storm. Hidden Horizons. 30 years before the Corvin invasion, in a remote corner of the New Mexico desert, an alien spacecraft lay half-buried in the sand. Sleek and angular, it was clearly not of human design. A team of scientists and engineers, assembled from the best and brightest of humanity's minds, worked around the clock to study and reverse engineer the craft's advanced systems. It was an undertaking of unparalleled secrecy, known only to a handful at the highest echelons of power. Dr. Lena Sorensen, the brilliant physicist, led the propulsion team. She stood before the exposed drive core of the alien ship, its pulsing blue light casting eerie shadows across the hangar. "The level of miniaturization is astounding," she commented, manipulating a holographic schematic. "If we can successfully replicate this technology, it will provide a leap forward of decades, perhaps centuries." Her colleague, Dr. Marcus Reeves, shook his head in wonder. "Can you imagine the applications, not just in space travel, but energy production, computing, material science?" Lena smiled wryly. "Let's focus on understanding it first. We've barely scratched the surface." In another part of the facility, Colonel Jack Hawkins oversaw the weapons division. Battle-hardened and pragmatic, he saw the alien technology as Earth's best chance to level the playing field against potential aggressors from the stars. "I want those energy cannon prototypes operational within a month," he barked at his team. "And double the efforts on the shield systems. We cannot afford to fall behind." As the years passed, the reverse engineering program bore incredible fruit. Human scientists unlocked the secrets of advanced propulsion, power generation, and weaponry that far surpassed anything Earth had developed on its own. But with each breakthrough came the sobering realization that they were not alone in the universe, and that not every civilization might have peaceful intentions. The decision was made at the highest levels of global leadership. Earth needed to prepare for the worst. In hidden shipyards on the far side of the moon, a fleet of advanced warships took shape, incorporating the alien technology seamlessly with human innovation. The Avalon, the Celestia, and the Daedalus were the first of their kind, crewed by the best and brightest of Earth's military. And so, as the Corvin invasion fleet bore down on Earth, confident in their overwhelming superiority, they were unaware of the hidden eyes watching their every move from the lunar surface. On the bridge of the Avalon, Captain Nora Jensen watched the alien ships move into orbit, her face set in grim determination. "All hands, prepare for combat operations," she announced over the ship-wide comm. "We've trained for this moment. Time to show these bastards what humanity is made of." With a flicker of displaced light, the Avalon and her sister ships emerged from their concealed lunar berths, weapons charged and ready. The time for secrecy was over. Earth's hidden fleet had a war to win. The tides turn. The Corvin fleet hung in Earth's orbit, their formation ragged and scattered after the initial human assault. On the bridge of the dreadnought, Supreme Commander Zaxxerin seethed with barely contained rage. "Status report," he snapped. His tactical officer swallowed nervously. 12 ships destroyed, another 8 crippled. Their weapons, "Commander, they cut through our shields like they weren't even there." Zaxxerin slammed a fist against his console, the metal denting under the impact. "Unacceptable. Gather the fleet. We will crush these humans and their stolen technology into dust." As the Corvin ships began to regroup, sensors suddenly blared warning. New contacts, emerging from behind the human's moon. On the view screen, space rippled and distorted. Then 3 sleek human warships shimmered into existence, seemingly appearing out of nowhere. They bore down on the disorganized Corvin fleet like wolves among sheep. The Avalon, Celestia, and Daedalus opened fire in unison, their Zephyr missiles and Helix cannons tearing into the alien ships with devastating precision. Corvin hulls crumpled and burst under the onslaught, the advanced human weaponry bypassing their defenses with ease. Supreme Commander Zaxxerin watched in disbelief as his fleet crumbled before his eyes. The primitive humans, so easily dismissed, had not only matched Corvin technology but surpassed it. In desperation, Zaxxerin rallied his ships for a counterattack, focusing fire on the Avalon. For a moment, the tide seemed to turn as a barrage of Corvin weapons hammered the human flagship's shields. But the Avalon held strong, Captain Nora Jensen guiding her ship through evasive maneuvers even as she coordinated the fleet's assault. "Target their command ship," Jensen ordered, her eyes locked on the tactical display. "Take out their leadership, and the rest will fall." The Celestia and Daedalus moved in perfect synchronicity, flanking the dreadnought and pouring fire into its already weakened shields. Under the relentless assault, the Corvin defenses finally gave way, and a salvo of Zephyr missiles slipped through, striking critical systems. Explosions blossomed along the dreadnought's hull as it listed out of formation, secondary detonations tearing through its superstructure. Supreme Commander Zaxxerin braced himself against the onslaught, his bridge filling with smoke and flames. "Commander," his sensor officer cried out, panic in his voice, detecting a massive energy surge from the edge of the system. "Something's approaching fast." Zaxxerin stared at the readout in disbelief. The energy signature was like nothing he had ever seen, dwarfing even the most advanced Corvin technology. And it was closing rapidly on the embattled fleets. On the Avalon's bridge, Captain Jensen frowned as her own sensors detected the anomaly. "What the hell is that?" She hailed the other human ships, concern etched on her face. "All units be advised. Unknown contact approaching. Possible new threat." As the battle raged around them, both human and Corvin alike turned their attention to the onrushing enigma, a sense of dread settling over the combatants. The balance of power had shifted, but now it seemed an even greater challenge loomed on the horizon. An ancient adversary. The unknown energy signature burned like a miniature sun on the Celestia's sensors as it hurtled toward the embattled fleets. Captain Luis Navarro leaned forward in his command chair, eyes narrowed. "Magnify," he ordered. The view screen shimmered, the image of the approaching anomaly snapping into focus. Navarro felt his breath catch in his throat. It was a ship, but unlike any he had ever seen. Vast and angular, it dwarfed even the Corvin dreadnought. Pulsing veins of sickly green energy crisscrossed its hull, and the very space around it seemed to warp and twist. "What the hell is that thing?" Navarro muttered. On the Avalon, Captain Jensen's face was grim. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Nora Jensen of the Earthship Avalon. Identify yourself." There was no response, the alien ship continuing its inexorable advance. Supreme Commander Zaxxerin, his dreadnought crippled and venting atmosphere, stared at the new arrival with a mix of awe and dread. In the back of his mind, an ancient memory stirred, a half-forgotten legend passed down through generations of his people. "The Reapers," he whispered, the name tasting like ash on his tongue. As if in response, the alien ship pulsed with an eerie green light. A wave of energy swept out from it, washing over both human and Corvan ships alike. Systems flickered and died, engines sputtering out as if drained of power. "Report," Jensen barked, gripping her armrests as the Avalon shuddered. "Main power offline," her engineering officer reported, frantically working his console. "Shields, weapons, propulsion. They're all down. It's like that pulse just shut them off." On the Celestia and Daedalus, similar scenes played out. The advanced human ships suddenly rendered helpless. Even the crippled Corvan fleet found itself further incapacitated, their already damaged systems now completely inert. A deafening silence descended over the battlefield, broken only by the hiss of severed power conduits and the distant groans of stressed hulls. The alien ship hung in space, an inscrutable monolith, as if savoring the sudden stillness. Then it spoke. A voice, ancient and cold, echoed through the minds of every human and Corvan present. It reverberated with power, with the weight of eons behind it. "Abandon your vessels," it commanded. "Your technology, your weapons, your machines, they are an affront to the natural order. A cancer upon the cosmos. We are the Reapers, the cure for the disease of civilization." Jensen felt a chill run down her spine. "Disease? What are you talking about?" The voice continued, implacable. "For eons, we have watched, waited, culled the advanced civilizations that dared to rise, to challenge the primacy of organic evolution. Your kind, with your artificial intelligences and your reliance on technology, are an abomination. You will surrender your ships, your knowledge, and embrace the purity of a simpler existence, or face annihilation." On his crippled dreadnought, Supreme Commander Zaxxarin felt a wave of dread wash over him. The legends were true. The Reapers, the scourge that had haunted his people's past, the reason they had taken to the stars in the first place. They were real, and they were here. As the two battered fleets faced this new unfathomable threat, old enemies found themselves in an uneasy truce. The Reapers cared little for the squabbles between civilizations. To them, all advanced life was a target, a plague to be cleansed from the galaxy. The fate of humanity, of the Corvans, of every technologically advanced species, hung in the balance. In the face of annihilation, old grudges seemed petty indeed. The question remained, though, could two diametrically opposed civilizations find common ground and fight back against an enemy that sought to destroy them both? Or would they fall, divided and alone, like so many before them? Unholy alliance. In the shadow of the Reaper ship, two old enemies faced a choice. On the bridge of the Avalon, Captain Jensen hailed the crippled Corvan dreadnought. "Supreme Commander Zaxxarin, it seems we find ourselves in a common predicament." The Corvan's face, marred by a fresh scar, appeared on her view screen. He looked haggard, his earlier arrogance replaced by a grim determination. "Captain Jensen, it appears our conflict has been overtaken by events. The Reapers are an ancient enemy of my people, one we thought long vanished. It seems we were mistaken." Jensen leaned forward, her expression serious. "Then you know how they operate, what they're capable of." Zaxxarin nodded grimly. "They seek to eradicate all advanced civilizations, viewing our technology as a threat to their ideal of a cosmos ruled by pure organic evolution. They will not rest until every last trace of our knowledge, our machines, is wiped from existence." Jensen absorbed this, her mind racing. The Reapers represented an existential threat not just to humanity, but to all spacefaring life. Old grudges seemed trivial in the face of such stakes. "In that case," she said slowly, "I propose a temporary truce, an alliance against the Reapers. We pool our resources, our knowledge, and we find a way to fight back. Together." Zaxxarin was silent for a long moment, the weight of history heavy on his shoulders. Then he looked up, meeting Jensen's gaze through the screen. "Agreed. The survival of both our people depends on it." As the word spread through both fleets, human and Corvan crews alike reacted with a mix of disbelief and grim determination. Engineers and scientists from both sides began working feverishly to repair and modify their crippled vessels, sharing technology and ideas at a breakneck pace. In a hastily assembled conference room on the Avalon, Jensen met with her fellow captains and a delegation from the Corvan fleet, led by Zaxxerin himself. Holograms and schematics filled the air as they pored over every scrap of data they had on the Reapers. Their technology is highly advanced, but it follows different principles than ours, Dr. Sorensen explained, gesturing to a simulation of the Reaper ship. That pulse that disabled our systems, it wasn't just an EMP. It was a targeted attack designed to interact with and shut down any sufficiently advanced technology. Then how do we fight back? Captain Navarro asked. If they can just shut down our ships, our weapons at will. Zaxxerin leaned forward, his yellow eyes glinting. We adapt. We use their own tactics against them. We build a weapon that targets their specific technology, disrupts their ability to manipulate ours. Jensen nodded slowly. It's a start, but we'll need something more, a way to even the odds. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. The decision she was about to make went against every protocol, every instinct of military secrecy. But these were desperate times. She met Zaxxerin's gaze. There's something else, something that might give us a chance. She told them about the secret research base, hidden in the depths of the Kuiper Belt, about the AI project, the most advanced ever developed by human science. It's called HFY, she explained, designed to be a strategic planning tool, to analyze threats and devise countermeasures. If we can bring it online, integrate it with the weapon you proposed, we might just stand a chance. The room was silent for a long moment. The implications were staggering, the risks enormous. But in the face of annihilation, what choice did they have? Then that's our plan, Zaxxerin said, his voice hard. We finish repairs, we head for your base. We bring this HFY online, and we take the fight to the Reapers, for both our peoples. As the meeting broke up, and the unlikely allies hurried to make preparations, the Reaper ship loomed in the distance, an implacable threat. The stakes could not be higher. The fate of all advanced life hung in the balance. But for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope. The knowledge that whatever their differences, their shared peril had forged the most unlikely alliance of all. Human and Corvan, side by side, ready to face the oncoming storm. As the Avalon and the battered remains of both fleets turned their bows towards the distant Kuiper Belt, as engineers and scientists bent their efforts to the desperate work ahead, a new chapter was being written, a story of survival, of courage in the face of impossible odds. The battle was only beginning, but one thing was certain. Against the darkness of the Reapers, two species had found a common cause. And in that unity, that determination to fight for their very existence, there was a strength that even the most ancient of enemies would learn to fear. The end.